So welcome to the second video of this channel and the first video where we're actually just going to be reading through the Bible. I say read loosely here because I'm not going to go through every verse. It's more so just the general idea and verses that stick out to me, but like I'm not going to go verse by verse, right? You definitely should read these chapters for yourself, mainly because the idea of this channel isn't for you to just take everything, like, and all my ideas as fact, right? But simply to read the Bible and realize that maybe there are some things that people say about them, but that's when you actually read it for yourself, you see that's not true, right? The first one being today is Eve is the reason for the fall, right? So going over Genesis 1 really quickly, we get in the beginning there was nothing, and then God says, "Let there be light." One of the hardest lines, in my opinion, ever. Um, and then we get light and darkness. Day 2, we get the sky. Day 3, we get the land, the sea, and the plants. Day 4, we get the sun and the moon and the stars. Day 5, we get birds and sea animals. Day 6, we get all the other animals and humans, right? And then in day 7, God rests. I want to note here there are some Christians who say that day here might actually mean 1,000 years, so it's consistent with like evolution, and that's just not what the Bible teaches, right? The Bible is anti major evolution in the sense that we come from like fish and monkeys essentially. Very clearly, it says day here, like we know what a day is because it says there was evening and there was morning, right? Moses is writing to the Israelites. The Israelites are not reading this thinking, oh, this day is actually 1,000 years, right? When they're setting up the Sabbath to rest on the seventh day, they're not like, is it actually, years or is it a day, right? So the Bible's pretty clear on this. That mini supposition out the way, but let's get into Genesis 2. So in Genesis 2, we get God creating Adam, right? And to be honest, Adam is one of my least favorite people in the Bible. Rereading it, right? Growing up, I didn't really have strong opinions about Adam. I kind of was like, well, Eve fumbled the ball. It is what it is. But now that I reread it, I'm like, man, Adam is like the first and one of the biggest scumbags I've ever seen, bro. And so we see God has Adam naming all the animals, and he's like, look, it's not good for him to be alone, so I'm gonna make him a helper, right? And he makes Eve out of his flesh. That's why she's called woman, right? Genesis 3 is the important part for this video, though. In the last chapter, God said, hey, don't eat from this tree of life, right? You can eat anything else in this garden, but don't eat from this tree. He says it specifically to Adam. He doesn't tell us to eat. He makes Adam first, he tells him the rule, then he goes and makes Eve later. Why this is important is in the start of chapter 3, the serpent comes up to Eve and he's like, yo, did God really say that you shouldn't eat from this tree? And I don't know if this is Eve being a bad student or, she can't remember, or Adam just being a bad person, like a teacher. But Eve says something interesting here. She says, from the fruit of the trees of the garden we may eat, but from the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God said, you shall not eat from it, you shall not touch it, lest you die. That you shall not touch it is added by her or Adam. I don't know. I like to think Adam because it's funnier that way, but this is kind of telling here because, like I said, the Bible says clearly later on Eve is deceived, and here's a very good portion of why. So from Eve's perspective, simply touching the fruit will cause her to die, but that's not true, and that's not what God said, right? So she ends up seeing that the tree is good, or the fruit is good for like eating, and she wants to be like God, so she eats it, right? Um, I want to note when it says she ate it, nothing happens here either. But after her husband eats it, both their eyes are open and they knew very naked, right? So it wasn't until after Adam ate the fruit that the fall essentially happens. This itself is bad, but it doesn't make me like really dislike Adam that much. It's about what happens later, right? So now they know that they're naked and they're like, we gotta hide, right? And God says, why were you hiding? And This is what Adam says. He says, "The woman you gave to be with me, she gave me the fruit from the tree and I ate it." This is such crazy deflection because he's kind of like gaslighting like God essentially. He's like, "Look, the woman you gave me, God, I didn't ask for this woman. I was just chilling by myself with the monkeys and the lions and stuff. The woman you gave me the fruit, so I ate it." And it's like, bro, what? Like, you don't even say sorry or nothing, bro. He's just talking about some that like, and not only that. Remember, Adam, God told him that hey, you will die, and obviously they had to know that death is a bad thing because if they don't know what death is, it can't be used as a punishment. So they know dying is bad. And Adam kind of just let Eve eat the fruit first. Like I don't know if he was testing it and being like, "Hey Eve, let me see if you die first, right?" But whatever, right? Eve says the serpent deceives her, and this is consistent with the story and later on in the Bible, right? So Eve was tricked, she was lied to, she was deceived, and then God has some choice words for the serpent too. Um, I don't really care about the serpent here. I mean, he lost, right? The devil's lost. It's whatever. The main point of this video being Adam is the reason of the fall, not Eve, right? Tackling that presupposition. Um, I don't know if Adam just has like the best PR team in the world because like Eve gets all the smoke that Adam does. And in the video here, though, I want to note the parallels between Jesus and Adam. Uh, Adam does wrong with his wife, and then when he's gets confronted, he blames her, right? Jesus does not do wrong with his wife, right? And his wife being the church, and he dies for her when he's confronted, right? So, um, yeah, Adam just sucks. And Adam, when we speak face to face of heaven, it's mainly a joke. Like 99%, maybe 90, 80% a joke. But yeah, next time we'll be going over the father of hating, right? Cain. Technically, the devil is the father of hating, but we're talking about humans. It's actually Cain. But that will be the next episode biblically. I don't know if I'll make a response video or anything. But yeah, thanks for watching to the end. Later.
Next time in Genesis.
Whoa, calm down, Jamal. Don't pull out the nine.